Everybody, welcome back to our channel. We are the
Real Dads of New York.
checking in again. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So we've all been watching, or at least I have been watching. You've watched some of it. Love Is Blind on Netflix, which has become a fan favorite, a cult classic, if you will, where contestants basically meet behind closed doors or in pods, and they have 38 days, I believe what it is, to meet their match, get proposed to, experience real life, quote unquote, and then go off and get married, or decide whether or not they will get married. And it's been a very interesting 10 episodes. You have a lot of opinions, but this is our review on Love Is Blind, so check it out. All right. So the question is love blind? What do you think about that?
I think love, for the sake of the topic, love is blind. I don't think so. I think, like in reality, when you lose one sense, the other senses kicks in and becomes stronger. So the concept of what they did with the show is interesting to some people. To me, it's like whatever. Because
To you, most things are whatever.
not really, because I also think that by just watching some of the interviews that they did, nobody asked the question of how tall are you that I've come across.
No, people did ask. You remember?
But I don't think the
this
full
one guy was
concept.
like, your voice sounds like you're African American. And she's like, what? By the way, those two people were there for a single episode and then they vanished. But that's
Of course.
We'll get there later. But anyway, but they did ask questions about physical attributes.
But I also think that none of them on that show, and this is probably for another topic, but none of them on that show fits the criteria of what a real woman shapes like.
Well, what are you talking about?
All of them was like a $120 wet, including the male and female. And I think
So there weren't
realistically,
diverse body types, is what you're saying.
they're not the typical body types. So
Okay.
Obviously, most of the decisions is being made based on their sound. So you sound interesting, you sound sexy. And
Well, right.
some people were
point.
putting on a facade, some probably wasn't.
No, that's the point you just made about people didn't look like these, it wasn't representative of what everybody looks like.
No.
But that's the casting department, right? So people,
Yes,
I'm
they
sure,
set it up that way for a reason.
there are people who applied who
Or 300 pounds.
short, tall, big, small, and the casting department, they're the ones
5'1".
5'1", 5'0", right? They're the ones who are making decisions about who gets through to the show itself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was some selection process, and I'm pretty sure that physical attributes were
A
accounted
part of
for.
what?
Right. But
Because
either way,
sex sells.
correct. And then the drama with all that stuff. So, okay, but whoever made the cast, they went through, they were in the pods, they were talking sweet nothings back and forth. And the first proposal, which is my favorite couple, which is Cameron and Lauren, interracial couple. I believe he proposed first after like day 3 or 4. When we saw that, your eyes rolled. And I think you may have walked out of the room like shortly after that.
Because, and I had this conversation with my friend Samantha. What's up, sarcasm? I don't believe, and Gary and I, what's up, Gary? My two friends that I'm very close to, and we might have difference of opinion, yes. But sometimes they can enlighten me in some ways. I'm open to everything and attached to nothing. But one thing I'm not really open to is that the fact that you can fall in love after 30-something days. Like, that's totally bullshit.
But some people fall in love quickly,
You fall in lust, not in love.
even if you don't see them.
So by hearing that individual that's talking, there is senses that being triggered based on the sound of that person's voice.
Okay, let's try it out. Talk to me nice.
Fuck off.
Okay, then. Well, there you go. Anyway, no, but can you develop lust based on somebody's voice?
Yes.
How so?
The same way birds and animals can create sounds to stimulate the opposite sex. Human beings, we might not use it as we did probably back in whatever days, but we do have that capability. The same way with the pheromones and the hormones and all them other things that I described that attracts one to another. We talked about, sweat. Some people go, oh, sweat, but we all perspire and we give off scent. Sometimes that scent attracts somebody else.
Some of those bitches don't wash, but that's besides the point.
For some people, that is a stimulation. So the vocal sounds of the person behind that pod is stimulating all kind of fantasy in your head of what they might be like. So yes, they talk how many days within the pod. They share what their desires.
They ask questions. Some people asked really good questions. Some people didn't. Some people asked questions that were fluffy and, what's your idea of first date? Some people ask questions like, what is your ideal around family? How would you raise your family? I mean, some people ask.
Your couple, the one you like, what name again?
Lauren and Cameron.
So what I think happens with that couple, I think from what I'm seeing with the interviews, both of them was honest from day one about what they desire. Had no preconceived idea of whether or not they're going to make a match. They're just going to put, that's my phone now, excuse me. They're going to put their best foot forward, and they're going to tell the person who they're talking to behind closed doors what their desires.
But they just seemed, again.
They were genuine.
Yeah, they seemed genuine to me. Of course, who knows what was put on for camera.
It appears to be that.
It appears to be genuine. And it felt from the beginning that there was it wasn't a game to them. It was truly they were there because they wanted
to. And if they walked away with someone,
great.
It would be okay. If they didn't, at least the setup behind being honest and having my 15 minutes of fame, if in case this doesn't work out, the person that I'm going to meet next outside will genuinely have an idea of who I am.
Let this be a lesson for all of y'all. Don't be thirsty.
Well, there's some
Lauren
people
wasn't thirsty. Cameron wasn't thirsty.
Some people who are genuinely hiding their true self, and you can miss out on opportunities based on you're lying to yourself. So therefore, obviously, you can't be honest with the person.
Okay, well, let's get back to that in a minute. So there was Lauren and Cameron. And to be frank, I need to pull up all the names because, to be frank, that was the only one I was really invested in. Okay. Then there was Amber and Barnett. So Amber seems fun. Barnett seemed like a college frat playboy, which Amber's type seems to find that type attractive. And Barnett waffled or wavered a little bit between whether he liked the other crazy one, Jessica, who we'll get to in a minute, because she was batshit crazy and had a bit of a drinking problem from what we see.
That's her personality.
Crazy's personality?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, more power to you. But so Amber and Barnett, they seem fun, right? Like, that was the fun couple.
She's the talker in the relationship.
You think so?
Yep. Every interview, she runs her mouth.
Well, a lot of people ask her questions directly.
And he's just like a puppet behind her. Yes, I said it, damn it. I think as a man, and the decision you make to say, well, I chose her, then put in your 2 cents, and she's blah, 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 blah. And again, I guess she's also on the defense, because a lot of people think that she got involved in this for the cash.
Right, because she disclosed that she had an abortion, and that her money went there, and that she stopped paying.
And pause a second. On that decision alone, I know it was really
hard,
sensitive for her to share that.
Yeah, and I mean,
I respect her.
I respected her for even sharing that with him before he even proposed to her.
Yeah.
He knew what her story was, for good or for bad.
So respect for that.
I respect her for that, for sure. But I think the way that the show was cut, and she said it in the interview too, is that she was after money. She wasn't paying on her student loans and those sorts of things, and that the show made it seem like Barnett was like this well-to-do person who was already set up, and she was somebody in life who was, and she did admit she was couch surfing. She didn't have a stable place to live for a while. Again,
but again, that's the reality,
right? But what it seems like works for them is that they were just real with each other, regardless of if we like it. If they love it, we love it, whatever. But they seemed real with each other, and it didn't seem like they were trying to put on to be the type of partner that they thought the other person wanted them to be, which was good.
So
right?
why did he end up saying the things he said? Because also he was flirting. That's why he got into trouble with the crazy chick who...
Well, he's a flirt regardless.
But again, that's the platform. You're not going to get married talking religion to someone unless they're attracted to religion.
It depends.
You're going to share and say things to stimulate that other person behind the curtain so that you at least walk away with one person that's going to say, I do.
Well, let's see.
He had how many? 2 or 3?
I think he had 2 or 3. But let's talk about people who didn't say I do, because Amber and Barnett said I do. You also had Lauren and Cameron said I do. Gianna and Damien. Okay. So Gianna...
is that the one that fell in the mud?
That's the one that fell in the mud at the end of the dress. Yo, that chick is crazy as hell. So you notice on Netflix, they put the age and like the general title of what the person does. So she's a business owner. Never quite says what business she owns. Well, that's beside the point. But they make her seem like, she's Venezuelan, beautiful woman. When she came to the States, she mentioned that she didn't speak any English. Her mother helped her by giving her books. She would read books every night, and she did all the things. And so she appeared at first to be very well-spoken and well-educated, etc. But then the crazy started to happen. And she, in my mind, was spoiled as all hell.
Is educated crazy?
No, for sure. For she seemed spoiled. She seemed incredibly immature. And she also seemed a bit off her rocker, because there was one moment where she will be all, oh, Damien, you're so perfect.
It's called bipolar.
But who knows if she, again, I don't know where the act is and reality begins.
Bipolar.
I have no idea. But anyway, Damien came under fire a little bit because Damien's emotional. And people often say that men can't be emotional, which I don't buy into that craze whatsoever. He seemed really invested in her. And she seemed to be very, pushed all the buttons, and nothing he ever did was enough, right? She would talk about how the fact that he was always on his phone, meanwhile she was always on her phone, and he wasn't really on his phone. She would be posting on social media, and he wouldn't be on social media.
That's reality, though.
That is reality.
There are times when you settle for someone, and as time goes by, you start to see the unfolding of their true character. She has a multiple layer of characters,
multiple personalities,
and then for him,
like. And he
has to now deal with it.
Well,
right?
He didn't, because he says, "I don't." She was like, "Wait a second."
But then why go through that whole shebang?
I think he really was trying to find the silver lining there, and really wanted to figure out if it
was
worked.
good for the show.
Maybe she got in that dress, and her mother was like, "Why didn't you say no first?" It's like, it doesn't matter who said no first. The answer was no. It's a no. The door is closed.
Those little things reveal what their
true intentions are.
Yeah. So the mother really didn't agree with the whole process. And that's the other thought I had even before we turned on the camera. How many parents that their kid would come home and go, "Mom, I'm on the show. I'm going to get married." And most of them talk about marriage as it's a ball and chain and this is forever. Like, there's no marriage forever unless you willingly put in the work and bare your soul to cultivate something that is worth going down that distance.
But so next couple though, Kenny and Kelly. So both of their parents met in very similar ways, right? They both dated for like a month or 2 or 3 months and then proposed and were together for 30 odd years after. But that's a different time.
I'm not saying that it cannot work where you meet someone within 30 days and you're now so connected that it can't work. I'm just saying, but that's not the norm.
That's not the norm, sure. But
So for most people who are crazy, and calling no names, who think this is the norm for them, it's not the norm for you until you're honest with your shit to tell whoever you're trying to get to know your whole story.
but they told each other their whole story. The problem with Kelly and Kenny was, from my perspective, it seemed that he was way more into her than she was into him. And she even mentioned that she left her last boyfriend because he couldn't make her orgasm. Whatever. That's important, folks. Don't you say it. Because I know you're about to go with that one. And they seemed really compatible. But then, slowly but surely, her level of interest seemed to be declining. He maintained his level of interest within her. She seemed to now have second guessing and cold feet or whatever the case is.
Again, for me, all of this is just somewhat human nature where he really desperately wants things to work.
Yeah, but she just wasn't attracted to him.
So then why even continue?
She admitted
you
it.
recognize what her true character is. Peace.
So we want to hear what you guys have to say, because we're going to do 2 parts to this because it's just getting juicy. And so comment down below. Let us know what you think about your interpretation of Love is Blind, or your opinions, your feelings, your thoughts, either about what we have said or what you saw. Be sure to like, just said comment, subscribe, share, and if you want to be notified about our content, click the bell in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Until next time, deuces.